Welcome back. We continue. We're talking about the Penguins now in this topic, and the Penguins coming off a nice shutout at home against Arizona last night. 4-0 was the final score. Casey DeSmith. So, Jason Mackey, I'll just start right there with that on you. Is there a goaltender controversy here? What's going on with Murray versus DeSmith? And I would imagine Sullivan's going to come right back with DeSmith against the Devils on Tuesday.
Yeah, he's going to come back with DeSmith against the Devils, Pump. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But no, there's not a goaltending controversy with this team. I mean, Matt Murray's won 2 Stanley Cups. He's just not playing all that well right now. And Casey DeSmith is playing really, really well. I mean, are we really going to sit here and think that Matt Murray's going to watch the entire season from the bench? No. And he just hasn't been good enough early on. He's got a goals against average that's almost 4. I mean, that is so atypical for him. The team has been sort of shoddy in front of him, but he hasn't played well either. I just don't see that sticking around, and neither one of these guys is the type that they're going to mope or dislike the other guy or do something stupid to jeopardize his position. Sullivan will manage the two of them. I think Murray will get in there, but for right now, Casey DeSmith gives them the best chance to win, and they need to win.
I mean, but Jason, isn't this sort of their move typically, whether it was Murray backing up Fleury or whatever, when the number 1 guy is in there, sometimes, look, the top 6, they kind of screw around. The backup gets in there, they tighten up a little bit. I mean, there just seems to be that's their MO. They think, oh, well, Flower's going to save us or Murray's going to bail us out or whatever, and then they lose a couple games, they put the backup in, and they kind of get it right. I'm with you. I think their money is on Matt Murray. I mean, that's who's making the money. They're not going to pay their backup goaltender. What's it? $3.5 million. Jason, you're the smart. You're the money guy.
$3.5 million.
Whatever it is. I mean,
yeah.
you know, they're not going to pay. I mean, and Casey DeSmith's making what Kaboly's athletic money, which is good for a sports writer, but not so much for a goalie, right? So, I mean, look, I'm not going to panic yet. But, I do think, though, you know, I think Sully's probably going to ride that hot hand for a while, and if Murray has to sit and watch, so be it. But I think, again, it's the play in front of him that's the problem more than it is than Matt Murray.
Well, I didn't spend 2 weeks in Dubai, Graves.
I was in Qatar. Technically, I was in Qatar.
That's impressive.
What about Qatar?
Just have it on your resume.
Well, you know what I feel bad for? I feel bad for Casey DeSmith because they're just waiting for him to screw up. And I don't think that's quite fair because one little mess up and you know darn well that Matt Murray's coming back in. And it's not really a bad thing because now you know you have a guy who can fill in Casey DeSmith. I don't think he'll ever be that star goalie, that number 1 goalie in the league, just for the fact that he's not very big. And I think you need bigger goalies to be successful in here. You got to get Matt Murray back into that flow, and he's won 2 cups. You got to get him back in there. And if it's a Casey DeSmith's problem, then you have to deal with it, and I just think that's the way it goes.
It's a nice problem to have a guy who you can throw in there and does the job when you need him to do the job. I want to ask you guys about Jim Rutherford now. As we know, Jim Rutherford is pretty honest, and he was not happy with the way this team had gone after they lost their 4th straight home game. So, Jason, do you take him at his word that he's looking to make a trade? And if so, I mean, he indirectly kind of pointed to guys like Rust or Hagelin or who else am I missing in that situation?
Sheahan was one.
Ole Mata, Sheahan, all those guys. Which is something going to happen at some point, do you think?
Well, I think Rutherford's going to back off the ledge a little bit just because of the way the Penguins have played the past 2 games. Remember, he made those comments, and they were awesome, by the way. I mean, yes. I'd consider it hilarious to cover Jim Rutherford or fun or whatever you want to call it. But they played really well in Washington the next night, and they played really well on Saturday against Arizona. So I think Jim's kind of chilling out. I do think he's going to deal Daniel Sprong at some point, but that's sort of a different animal altogether. And so, I mean, I know for a fact he was knocking on doors, making calls, having conversations about players. He doesn't want to do anything stupid, and I think at this point in the hockey season, I mean, we're only between 13 and 18 games in. I believe it's just too early to do something that's logical. If he would make a move at this point, it would be reactionary. He'd probably get opposing general manager, and I'm not sure he'd make his team better. So yeah, I mean, he made some calls, but it's not imminent.
Well, I mean, Jason, that sort of leads to, you know, you mentioned it, though, we're still pretty early. Well, then what's he doing sort of losing his mind 15 games into the season? I mean, so what's the message? Sending out to other teams that, hey, I'm open for business, or is it just to maybe do a little bit of saber rattling to get his guys to kind of stop screwing around?
Yeah, I think it's more to rattle cages. You know, I don't want to call it an empty threat because you certainly don't want to play chicken with Jim Rutherford in a trade, but it's more to intimidate his players, I think, than it was like, I'm really going to blow this up and trade Sid and Gino and Phil and all that. It's not that. He's just trying to scare some people into playing better.
All right, they got a game against the Devils coming up, and it is still early. It's November hockey, so there's a long way to go, and we'll see what happens against that team, which beat the Penguins last time here in Pittsburgh. All right, let's talk about now our smooth moves. Yeah, we do this every week, and it's brought to you by the largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops. That would be Armina Stone. So we look for these guys to give us the smoothest move of the week. It doesn't matter what sport or even if it's local. It could be a national. Mark Kaboly, what do you say?
Well, I'll have to go back to Le'Veon Bell and his agent, Adisa Bakari. And somehow they spun what happened on Monday into the agent finding a loophole in the CBA. Or maybe you just actually looked into it because somebody suggested you did look into it.
Who would that somebody be, Mark?
I don't know. He might be making athletic money. That's a smooth
Leave Rossi out of this. Come on.
You be able to move it that way, saying you found a loophole when you didn't know anything about that and you call yourself a professional agent? Oh, my. Good smooth move to make it look like you're.
Mark, now he's not going to return your phone calls, texts, and emails.
Move, Mark.
It's a smooth move because he made it look like he found a loophole to some media outlets. Nah.
All right, Jason, what's your smooth move?
I'm going Rutherford. I was going to change, but that was too good, too epic of a rant. I mean, when do you hear a general manager in any sport just eviscerate his team like that? I mean, if there's somebody that's going to be honest and candid and borderline funny talking about anything, Jim Rutherford's the man.
Will.
For me, look, shout out to the unidentified Washington Capitals fan who donated his money from the 50-50 raffle the other night in Washington to the Tree of Life folks. You know, there's a lot of back and forth in sports, and we lose our minds about stupid stuff sometimes. It's refreshing when people realize the bigger picture, and a very class act by that fan out there in the Cavs organization.
Yeah, that turned out to be a $38,000 contribution, which is great to see, certainly. And those are the smooth moves of the week, brought to you by Armina Stone. They feature Pittsburgh's largest indoor stone gallery of granite and marble countertops imported from all over the world to give you the smoothest countertops in the area. Score a touchdown with Armina Stone. We'll be back to talk about the Pitt Panthers next.